All right, everyone, welcome to another edition of the Nubreedpodcast, the world's best podcast talking about new metal. I am your co-host, Jay Horsecow. With me, I have my partner in crime, the notorious TIM, Tim Anderson Jr. Tim, how's it going?
Great.
Fantastic.
Excited for this one.
At least one of us is. So, topic of this episode, we're going to do another album deep dive, and we're going to do a band that started off new metal, then went in a different direction, and arguably became way more successful. We're going to do the Roadrunner artist from Cleveland, Ohio, keep me honest, Chimaira, and their first album, Pass Out of Existence. So, Tim, let's go with the album details, and then we'll get into our feelings and observances.
Let's start out with this first. This is their first full length. They had an EP before this called This Present Darkness.
Yes, which I paid
also
like
great.
$40-something for to buy off eBay.
God damn, dude.
Yeah, back in the day, man, before file sharing was the thing.
Oh yeah, there you go. All right. Released October 2nd, 2001. It was originally supposed to come out August of 2001, but was delayed because of Roadrunner's merger with Island and Def Jam. Yeah, I didn't even know they merged with them, which makes it funnier. Not funny, but makes it even bigger that Roadrunner is even bigger than we thought.
I'm assuming it was probably a lot of distribution, right? That's the hence of the merger, right? They get the whole catalog and they can distribute it.
Yeah, that's true. The record was produced by his name is Andrew Murdoch, but for some reason they call him Mudrock.
Mudrock, yeah.
I don't know why they call him Mudrock.
Probably the same reason, Tim. It's probably the same reason they call me Horse Cow. It's easier to remember.
There you go. I did do some searching. He did Godsmack's first two records. He did some Avenged Sevenfold, 18 Visions. He did a Power Man 5000 record, and he also did an Unloco record. You remember that band?
Yeah, I do. Man, that's a name from the past. We should do a deep dive on Power Man 5000's first album.
Well, yeah, definitely.
The dude with the bongos.
Yeah, yeah. Originally, this record was supposed to be produced by Dino from Fear Factory. How much different do you think this record would sound if Dino did it?
I think the sampling would have been way down. I think the guitars would have been way up,
way heavier.
And I also think there's virtually no bass that I picked out when I was listening to it. Like I didn't hear. There's low end, but there's not. The bass is not discernible. So
yeah, the band has said that the recording sucks on this. I don't think so, though. I mean, I don't think
it's terrible. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, when it came out, it was right in the middle of like the whole, you had Fear Factory on one end, you had Korn on the other. They were right in the middle of those. So
yeah. So Dino and Fear Factory were doing Digimortal, so he got pushed out, and Roadrunner said, we're going to have Mudrock do it. So there you go with that. The record sold 44,000 copies. And apparently Roadrunner thought that was a huge disappointment, and they were going to let them go, actually. But I guess they started writing for the Impossibility of Reason real quick, and they decided to take a chance on that, which worked out perfectly for them.
Mm-hmm.
That record's a monster.
Yeah.
40. I wonder how much they've sold since. Like how much to get like.
Right. As they've grown, like how much has that 40 increased?
Yeah, it's crazy. I should have looked that up. I didn't know why I didn't think of that. Obviously, if you're a Chimaira fan, you know that they were on Farm Club, and that basically is what got them signed. If people listening don't know what Farm Club is, it was on USA, and they had fucking bands playing. Chimaira was one of them, and they played them two songs, and I guess Roadrunner seen that and got them signed with the help of the dude from Spineshank, and Dino, of course, got him signed. So that's pretty cool, because when you listen to this record, you can hear the Spineshank and the Fear Factory in it.
It is solidly in that vein, right? Like, I mean, everybody, they want to lump Fear Factory with new metal. I would argue that they're not. But when you put Spineshank, you put these guys, you put Obsolete into Digimortal into whatever came after that, they're all in that same sort of vein, right? Even like some of the other stuff like Factory 81 or all the stuff that has that sort of industrial flavor to it from new metal, they're right in the middle of it.
Absolutely. This is their only record besides the new one without this lineup to be recorded with 7 strings. They went to 6 after. And I came around to that. I pretty much refuse to listen to that record, the newest one, because it didn't have Rob in it. And to me, Rob is one of my favorite guitar players. I just think the dude's groove is fucking incredible. The dude writes amazing riffs. So I finally came around to it this year. That record fucking slays.
Never listened to it. I dropped off these guys after the self-titled, I think it was. Is that the third one?
Wow.
What was the third one?
Yeah, self-titled.
Which, I mean, and I don't know, maybe because then again, I remember I took 4 years where I didn't do anything because I changed careers. But I just remember Kevin Talley's drumming on that being just a fucking monster. That opening song, Nothing Remains, is still one of the best songs they've ever done. But I did get into the one with the monster on it, like the weird sort of creature looking thing. What was that?
Resurrection.
That wasn't bad, but I haven't dove anywhere since.
Yeah. All their records are good, man. They're a top 10 band for me. It is said to be their least heaviest record. I mean, I don't buy that. The only reason they're saying that is because Spikuza said the sample keyboard dude, he said the mixing was terrible, and I do agree with the mixing's horrible. Like when you listen to it on certain speakers, it's horrible. But I actually think This Present Darkness slams hard. Like that record sounds good, man. I
got to go back and listen to that one. Is this the one? I know, Tim, you and I both listened to the Rob Arnold interview. I forgot who it was with, where he did like 4 hours. Was this the album where they scooped the mids?
I don't remember.
And then the engineer who eventually did it was like, dude, what the fuck did you guys do? And he had to like try and fix it.
Oh, that was Schigel.
Okay.
That was Ben Schigel.
Okay.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about now. Okay. Also, Steph from Deftones had a hand writing the song Rizzo. Actually, I found out on Friday he wrote the entire song, which when we get to that song, it'll be funny what I say about that. Because before I even knew he did that song, it's just funny. After this record came out, they toured with Slayer in October for the God Hates Us All tour. Like, how crazy is it you go from your one major label record that nobody bought, but then you go on tour with the biggest metal
opening
band in the
for
world.
Slayer.
It's crazy.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
Of course, Metallica's the biggest metal band, but at that time, Slayer was way bigger. Metallica was what? In 2001, I don't even think they had records out, did they?
In 2001, it was either Load or Reload.
That's right. I forget about them records. Because Slayer came back with the God Hates Us All. That was kind of
that was a fucking different. Monster. Yeah.
It is. You know what? I don't really care for Slayer, but that record is fucking killer.
So, Tim, you bring up a good point, right? So Chimaira goes off a debut full length on a major label, and they start opening for Slayer. At the same time, you have the Deftones touring off their first album, open for Pantera and White Zombie. You have Korn opening for Ozzy Osbourne. So arguably during that time in the music industry, you could be a hungry up-and-coming band with a little bit of spunk and get on a major top-tier band tour as an opener. Do you think that could happen these days?
No, absolutely not. No way. Because their money is too much at stake nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Which is why you see those packed bills where it's like 6 bands, each one could headline their own. What was it? It was Hatebreed took out the Cro-Mags, Fit for an Autopsy, Terror, and somebody else. Obituary.
Obituary. Yeah.
All bands that could headline their own run.
Yep.
It's like, that's not I miss the old days, right? Where give me a band, give me the Urge, who I have no idea who they'd sound like. And does that dude have a saxophone? Like, I mean, yeah.
Give me the band when I walk in, I'm like, wait a minute, who is this? I've never heard this. And then they get more fans. That was always my gripe with that band is they never take out up-and-comers. They always take out the people that you know. And don't get me wrong, it's a solid plan to make money. People are going to come to the show. But just give one band a fucking chance, man.
Yeah. But, my one of the opening bands that I found that I ended up loving was Willhaven when they opened for the Deftones touring for Around the Fur.
Yeah. Amazing
and that album, I mean, their first 3 or 4 albums were all great, but they were a fish out of water on Revelation. Like Revelation is all fucking Chain of Strength and Judge and all that like old school stuff, and then you have Willhaven, and then you have like Curl Up and Die, another great band that was just on the wrong label. Whatever, I digress.
It's funny, me and you hate all them bands too, like the Judge and shit. I can't stand that
Just
shit.
not my thing, man. It's not my thing.
I can't stand any of them. My last note here is Matt DeVries did not play on this record. A lot of people think he did. He did not. It was Jason Hagar who left the band after this record.
Mm-hmm.
And Jason had a lot of cool riffs, man. He's a good guitar player. I wonder, like, what he could, if he would have stayed in this band, I wonder what direction they would have been, because he's a great guitar player. Couple more things. Like we said, recorded by Andrew Murdoch. Justin Walden and Scott Francisco also had a part in it. It was mixed by Mudrock. Mastered by Tom Baker. Artwork by Chris Bacuza, who did pretty much all their shit. Like I said before, Chris is the keyboardist thing. Before we get into the songs, like I have about 7 thoughts here of my personal thoughts. What do you have?
Just overall.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say it at the gate. This was a tough listen for me. And I think it was a tough listen because I really, really like the Impossibility of Reason. Like for me, that was, I mean, whenever I think of that album, I think of Darkest Hour, Hidden Hands of a Sadist Nation. I think of Deftones and Self-Titled. I think of In Flames and Root to Remain. All that stuff came out at the same time, right? Then you have Lamb of God with As the Palaces Burn. And then you had Shadows Fall with not Of One Blood, the one right after that, or The Art of Balance.
Yep.
So this is where, to use that term that's been beaten to death, a new wave of American heavy metal is hitting. And the Impossibility of Reason I thought was fucking brilliant. So I'm like, okay. And I remembered liking this album. And I went back and it just, my thoughts were, first of all, it was too long. 14 songs, one of which is a segue. So it's 13. So it's a long album for a new metal album. I think, like we've talked about in a lot of our previous deep dives, all the things that become Chimaira-isms are present, right? The samplers and some of the solos, some of how Mark Hunter goes from singing to screaming to the vocals get distorted. The one thing the positive that stuck out for me with this is the only new metal band I can think of off the top of my head that is legitimately new metal on this album, and there is a shit ton of double bass. There is a whole lot of blasting, and which was basically unheard of at that time. Nobody else played it.
A lot of mosh parts.
Yeah, that was and when we get, I'm a big second half guy. I couldn't pick a favorite song on this album, but I always top 5. There's 5 songs for me on this album that I think are great, like really great. But there were some songs when it gets towards the end of the album, like deep into the deep cuts, where it kind of felt like they threw it was like not riff salad, but part salad. Let's put a guitar solo, a breakdown, a mosh part, some samples, and this all together. And that was like wash, rinse, repeat for a couple of songs. Absolutely. And now when they get to the next album, the album after that, obviously they get better and better and better. But for me, there were some times where it kind of felt like, not that they were running out of ideas, but the ideas were, and it was the first album, so I got to give them a little bit of mulligan. They weren't focused yet. You know what I mean? Like they weren't going in saying, Tim, here's the laser vision, and these are the pieces that are going to make that happen.
No, you're completely right, and I have some of the same thoughts on that. So you pretty much nailed it. Are you done?
Yeah, that was it for me.
I personally love every fucking record this band has done. I think this is a fucking amazing record. I mean, it just hits on all cylinders for me. I love the mosh parts, the double bass. The sampling was put in perfectly. Like Chris is a madman with that shit, man. It hits so good for me. Like I said, this is one of the best new metal records ever, in my opinion. There's not many new metal records that are better. I will listen to this record before a lot of new metal stuff. I mean, is this really new metal though?
See, that's where it gets interesting, right? Because for all the reasons, all the things that we just talked about how the double bass blasting, right? I mean, that to me is the one thing that makes this album stand out and not be so easy to lump in the new metal genre. However, going the other way, you have 7 strings doing drop A tuning, you have samples, and you have keyboards, and you have vocals being run through a processor, so it goes up in pitch, down in pitch. There's some clean attempts at speaking, blah blah blah. It hits on all. If we had to play like new metal bingo, where everything you heard that's a new metal trend, you'd probably get bingo. So I would argue that it sits there, but they left basically 90% of that stuff behind when they do the next album.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of the next album, I'm glad that they changed their sound though, because I kind of feel like they would have fizzled out if they didn't.
Oh yeah, they would have gotten pigeonholed.
Yeah, I feel like they would have been a lost band, and I feel like the band members noticed that because of that album flopping, and they just said, "Fuck it, let's put down the 7 strings and just shred right now." And I think, and I wish that we could have got someone on to talk about that, but eventually we probably will. So that's my opinion on that. I personally do not skip tracks on this record at all. I like every single track on here. Some of them could have been left off, and I think it's too long of a record. But going to that, I heard Mark say in an interview that the reason it's 14 songs is Roadrunner wanted it to be 14. They wanted 2 singles off of it, and they wanted 12 songs just to sit. That was part of the contract. They had to put 14 songs, and that's a reason why they have 2 songs off of This Present Darkness. They redid them because they didn't have anything else, and that met the criteria for Roadrunner.
But what singles did they release? Did they release any?
Painting the White to Gray,
which was off This Present Darkness.
No, I'm sorry. That was the one they re-recorded, and they re-recorded another one. It's in my notes when we get to it.
Pass Out of Existence.
Is that what it was?
I think so, yeah.
It's in my notes. But yeah, they wanted 2 singles, but I don't know if I don't think they had a singles thing on here because I usually put that on here. Yeah, I don't see it on Wikipedia, do you?
No, I don't think they released any singles. So think about that for a second, Tim. They told them 14 songs, then it moved 40,000 copies, and they wanted to drop them.
Yeah, it's like it's a crazy thing.
Man, leave me alone. Just let me get my shit done. Yeah,
exactly. To me, this is a rare, perfect record. I know I'm going to sound contradictive when we go into the deep dive of the tracks, but this is a perfect record for me. It has highs and lows. It goes up, it goes down, and I like shit like that. The track listing in this is fucking perfect. Whoever came up with the track listing for this is a fucking genius, and I'll explain more of that when we get into the dive. Andals, the drummer, is one of the best drummers in metal. That dude
was he drumming on this?
Chops.
He was drumming on this, right? Yeah,
he did. That dude has the fucking chops, man. He's an amazing drummer. I kind of wonder what their albums without him would have sounded like. You know what I mean? Because the Kevin Talley record, if you have Andals on there, is it? Because I kind of feel like.
Sorry, Tim. I almost killed my cat for those listeners at home.
I kind of feel like Kevin Talley is more of a perfectionist drummer. He's more of a technical drummer, and I kind of feel like Andals is more of a groove-oriented drummer. So it would have been like a different sounding record, I think.
Well, Kevin Talley, you remember he also played with Misery Index. He played with Dying Fetus. Yeah. He had auditioned for Slayer for God Hates Us All. Mm-hmm. So he's you're right. He's a way more precise, almost that human metronome type, like Longstreth, Adam Jarvis, Flo Mornier from Cryptopsy. Like he's more in that vein than the Andals has more of a groove, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, man. But yeah, let's get into this tracks because we got 14 to go through. So,
all right, track number 1, the introductory track at 3 minutes and 51 seconds. Let Go. So I'll go first with this one, Tim. So I have my first note is so nu metal. Solos. So that's one of the things that jumped out at me. The solos are actually tastefully done, and while there aren't a lot in the album, you can see where Pass Out of Existence, where Impossibility of Reason has way more solos. You can see like the initial inklings here. I really liked there was lots of double bass, which jumped out at me. And this was my other note here is the distorted vocal bridge is one of the best song parts on the album.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. This is an absolute banger for an opener. That intro riffing, that weird intro riff thing they have is fucking amazing. I love it. It sets the record off perfectly. Mm-hmm. It's like they wanted to just beat your ass right away, and they did. No other song on this record could have complimented it better than this to start it off. This is one of my favorite songs on the record. Not my favorite, but it's one of my favorite songs.
As far as new metal openers go, album openers, because we've had some, and I know as we keep doing these album deep dives, we're gonna get some stinkers. This is a pretty solid representation of what the albums. It sets the table for what the rest of the album's gonna be like.
Yeah, and I remember Mark said in an interview, it's pretty much about like he couldn't let go, he can't let go of the past, so let go. But it's not about letting go. He can't let go of the past. So I guess he had some demons in his head because he does deal with like the depression and stuff. If you the people listening, he put out a documentary called I forget what it's called, but it's really it's a half hour. It's really fucking good. Most of it is Chimaira driven, but see, I always say Chimaira then Chimera. I know it's Chimera, so I always fuck that up. But I forget what the documentary called. We'll put it in the
Show notes.
The show notes. We'll put it in there for people. But yeah, let's go to the next one.
All right, track 2, 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Dead Inside. What were your notes here, Tim?
So I was listening to, like I said, interviews this week with Mark, and he said in an interview, this song is the song that got them signed from Farm Club. Let's talk about Farm Club real quick again. Like, what do you remember about that? Because I remember a little bit of watching that shit. There was like some weird acts on there, and then you would have Chimaira, and then you would have another weird metal band. Like, it was just really weird.
I don't remember watching it all the time, but I remembered like this. This is the early days of the internet, right? So I shouldn't say the early days of the internet. This is the early days of where everybody's getting internet in their houses, right? So it's normal to have like a router and shit, and I think it was still dial-up probably. Yeah, it was still dial-up at this point. I remember watching like when certain bands would play, like I know Korn played it, I know Limp Bizkit played it.
Yeah.
I remember tuning in specifically to see Chimaira play because I believe this was before they put out the first album, right? There was still just buzz for them.
Yeah.
I remember tuning in. I think I tuned in to see Cold play of all bands. But I wasn't a big fan of the show, but now I in another tab, I flipped open the artists that have played, and it literally is like every hip hop artist that was big in the late 90s, early 2000s, coupled with, 98 Degrees, Beanie Siegel, Bad Religion. Okay. Beck, the Bloodhound Gang, Bone Thugs, Busta Rhymes, Cash Money Millionaires, Cold, Chimaira, Creed, Cypress Hill, D12, Disturbed, DMX, Dog Fashion Disco, Dr. Dre, Eminem, Eve. So like this was it was basically anybody and everybody. It was kind of like, if I remember the show structure, it was kind of like a variety show of just musical acts. So
yeah. It's a crazy track. That's a crazy listing of artists, man. So he also said that a lot of the times with these Farm Club audiences, they were paid models and actors that would go crazy for your band, even though they didn't fucking like it. So if you watch the Chimaira one, it's a bunch of blonde, like fucking models headbanging. It's like, wait a minute, these.
I got to pay more attention to the. I got to pay more attention to the audience.
Go back and watch that whenever you can, and you'll see like the hot blondes in the front. It's hilarious, dude. It doesn't surprise me at all. But he also originally said this song was 8 to 9 minutes. They had like a big jam session in it, and I guess Mud Rock, when they went to record it, kind of was like, you got to cut that out if you want to make like this be a standout track for you, because it is a standout track. I don't really think bands were as hard as some of the riffs on this record back then. Even you didn't really like, you had hardcore metalcore bands doing it like back in 2001. Who did you have? Like Seven Angels was doing it, Martyr AD, shit like that. But you didn't have bands in the spotlight like this doing hard shit like that,
Yeah.
And that's why I think this record stands out. I fucking love the verse in this song. It's with the snare rolls and shit. I love that shit. It's got great samples in it. Like when he like songs like this, kind of like when he growls and the double bass mosh parts. It just brings it out, man, and it's a fucking crushing song, man.
So my notes here, the first thing is I have the gutturals ! Because he does do growls. But it's funny you said this is a knockout track for them, because my first note here is change the vocals. This is a radio song. So if you make the vocals all either clean or not distorted, get rid of the gutturals, you could put this on the radio.
Yeah.
The song structure works.
Yeah, it's a great fucking track, man. Another standout track, like I said. I love this fucking record. But yeah, let's go to Severed.
So there you go, Severed, track 3, clocking in at 3 minutes and 16 seconds. So my notes, Tim, all it says is the breakdown, oh my God, the breakdown.
Yeah. Fucking live staple right here, man.
Yeah, and this is one of my 5 top tracks on the album. This was number 5, yeah.
Another ridiculous banger. I mean, it just doesn't get any harder than this. That one string riff in the verse, it's where it's at, man. I'm a sucker for them one string riffs. I love that shit. I'm guessing on this track they kind of wanted to have that live like mosh anthem, so where people would go nuts.
Everybody's headbanging, yeah.
Yeah, and like I said in the previous track, no one was doing mosh that hard in nu metal. Like that's why I don't really know if people consider it a nu metal record, and it's kind of something you got to ask the band, I guess. But I mean, I don't. I'm guessing that's what it is. It has to be. You know?
This was, hey, let's write a beatdown song.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, great fucking track though, man. And when I seen them live, I seen them live with Arch Enemy and Soilwork one night, and they played this like second or third, and it just erupted in that place, man.
I'm trying to remember. I got to keep my book of all my old shows, all my stubs. I did see them tour off. I saw them tour off this. It was the Seton Hall 15th anniversary bash. So this is August of 2000. August of 2000. And they were one of the early card bands. So this was Kill Switch. This, the undercard of that show. It was up at the Newark Bears Arena. The undercard was all the bands that went on to become fucking huge. It was Thursday. It was Kill Switch. Kill Switch Engage was the opening band for the entire show.
Wow.
Kill Switch, Thursday, Waterdown, Chimaira, Il Nino, God Forbid, Lamb of God, and then it was like Hatebreed. It was VOD and the Leather Pants era. It was Clutch. It was a bunch of other bands. No Candiria, believe it or not, at that show.
I wasn't there, but I just guessed that because they literally played like every show like that back then.
Oh yeah. And you know what? Now that I think about it, it was odd that WSOU didn't bring them on because my first time ever hearing Candiria was on WSOU. They were in the studio.
Yep.
All right, so let's go to track number 4. This one is titled Lumps. It's 3 minutes, 54 seconds. What are your notes, Tim?
Before we get into track 4, I want to do a little plug right here because this shit right here is fucking amazing. This Black Cherry Truly, and Truly should fucking they should
sponsor us.
They should sponsor us because I drank Truly every show we've done, but I just got this Black Cherry. This shit is fucking amazing.
The Nubreedpodcast, sponsored by Truly and Genco.
Yeah, yes, that'd be great. But for Lumps, another favorite of mine on this record. The eerie samples in this are fucking great, man.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before, the way they did the track listing on this record is fucking genius because you go from Severed to this, and it's just perfect. So you go from getting pounded to this, man. I love it. It just works. This is back to a more nu metal flavor on this one, though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That chorus riff is an absolute headbanger, man. Well, this is one of the best albums to blast while driving, and the mosh part at the end of this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, this song. This song is also in my top 5. My notes is this is one of the best intros on the entire album. The way they start the song, but I also have a note here on my second listen to this album, and I put it on in the background. This is where I started to notice that the song structures kind of fit a mold. And that mold gets repeated throughout the rest of the album. This is and it was on my second listen where this is the first track that I said, all these songs are kind of laid out in the same format. Not that it's a bad thing. If Hatebreed made the same album 20 fucking times, they'd have that much more fans. Yeah. But this is where my ear, subconsciously, I started to pick up that, hey, this stuff is starting to repeat itself.
Yeah. The record does get like that. I will definitely admit that. But they do it so well on this one, I don't mind it at all. But this is definitely another standout track, man. This is probably... Yeah, this is top 3 tracks for me on this record, man.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, other than that, we can go to the next one.
So after this, we have track 5, 3 minutes, 24 seconds, Pass Out of Existence.
This might be my favorite track on the record. Might be.
My notes just say double bass chorus, fuck and yes.
Oh, I love the chorus. Like, you can't see my face part.
Yep,
I love that shit, man. That's a fucking great part. That's one of the standout parts of this record. It's just fucking amazing, man.
And again, it's new metal, but you can tell where they're going to go with the second album.
Yep,
because this is one of those American metal sections that you can say, okay, well, now I know where the next album comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you say this was one of the songs they redid?
I think so. Oh no, wait a minute. It's I think it's Painting the White to Gray and
yeah, I think I have it written
Sphere
in there somewhere.
Painting the White to Gray and Sphere.
Okay.
Which I think is probably one of the worst songs of the album, but we'll get to that one. Yeah, but I think this song is great. Like, this is one of the better songs on the album.
Absolutely, yeah. The title track, it's so fucking good. All right, let's go to 6.
So the 6 is ABO. It's 1 minute 44 seconds to segue.
Yeah,
it's a transition piece. I mean, not much more to say about it. After that, though, we have one of my top 3 songs on this album, Split.
Well, I have some interesting stuff about ABO real quick.
Okay, go on.
Mark said that they threw this in there just to hit the mark as well. It was just something that they had sample-wise. And they were like, fuck Roadrunner, let's just throw this piece of shit in there just to have a track. And he was saying, like, the band hates this song so much that back in the day when they were writing set list, like, they would write ABO 3 times to start the set just to, like, make fun of it because it was just so bad. Like Rob would be like, all right, I'm going to write the set list. And then when he would hand it to people, it would say ABO 3 times just to start the set. I thought that was fucking hilarious.
That is pretty funny.
But yeah, it's not a bad segue, though. I mean, it's got some pretty eerie shit in it. You know what I mean? But
no, it's better than some of the other new metal bands, and especially because it's only 1 minute and 44 seconds. When they start dragging those segue pieces out to be like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, it's like, what the fuck, man? Get on with the next song. Wildly off topic and not new metal at all. The band that I think does the best segues, they purposely titled them like Segue 3, Segue 4, Segue 5, is Failure.
Yep.
On Fantastic Planet. Great. They have segues, and they actually fit, and they're only like a dozen seconds.
Yeah, Moto Grader did it on their first. I think it was their second record. They did it like they would have a song called like "I See You," and they would spell it backwards and just have noise in it. Like it's actually kind of cool, but I do delete the segue parts in there and just listen to the record.
Yeah.
So all right. So next.
Back to track 7, Split, one of the tracks they made a video for, 3 minutes and 12 seconds. This is one of my top 5. This was the song that when I first listened to this album was my favorite song.
Oh, okay. A fucking ridiculous, heavy fucking track, man.
Mm-hmm.
I love this song. That opening riff is a monster, dude. Andals is a fucking machine on the drums. I love that fucking dude.
Yeah.
This is another live staple for them, though. To me, this is the best song on the record. That chorus is so fucking good. It's so catchy. It gets stuck in your head. Also, the video for this they shot in the Mythbusters studio.
No shit.
Yeah. I told you I went deep on this one, man.
Yeah, you did your homework, man.
Yeah, I love this band.
I struggled, but I'm still having trouble. I'm still having trouble getting past fucking System of a Down. Fucking Adam, if you're out there listening, I'm still fucking rocking Mesmerize, and I've done more reading about Serge Tankian, and yeah.
I know, it's funny. I was gonna hit him up and be like, "Come talk Chimaira with us." I was like, I don't want to fucking bother him too much. Well, he probably would have done it though.
Yeah, he would have. We should find a way to get a couple of those guys on. Like we pick an album, that either we all love or we all hate, and we've all never heard before, right? Like get Matt from Boundaries, get a couple other people, and say, look, we're gonna do fucking Spine Shank, The Height of Callousness. So everybody listen, and we're going to do a listening party. So whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Split, one of their better songs, leads right into one of their earliest songs. And while it shows it's still really heavy, track number 8, Painting the White to Gray, 4 minutes, 44 seconds.
Love it. It's a great track.
It's a good song. I have my note here is one of their earliest songs. It kind of shows, but still one of the standout, well-written ones.
Yeah. But yeah, in my notes, this is a repurposed track from This Present Darkness. Another personal favorite. I do like the recording on This Present Darkness better than this version. I think it's better. Another band, and if people listen to us, I'm huge on bands that can write really good choruses. This band knocks choruses out of the park, man.
Yeah, that was one of my other notes that I have here on a lot of these songs. Is a lot of these songs could, with different vocals, be a radio song.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, maybe you'd kind of, I hate to say it, but you'd kind of have to drop the double bass riffing to be like more single-footed or a little bit more of a swing groove. But a lot of the notes here, I have a couple of 1, 2, 3, 4 songs that are all flagged where I said these could all be songs on the radio with a little bit of change.
Absolutely. They're just brilliant choruses on this band. Like Deftones is another band that does brilliant choruses. And I can't wait to talk about that new track when we're done recording. You can hear the Fear Factory and Spineshank influences in this song a lot. It is very prevalent in these songs. Not that you don't hear it in the other songs, but it's, like I said, it's very prevalent. Is that the word they use?
Yeah.
You can pretty much in this song you could tell where they were going to.
Yeah.
I have no complaints about that because I love both of them bands.
So after track number 8, we come to Taste My, 4 minutes and 2 seconds, track number 9. I have this as the second best song on the album. I say this intro stands out, and then I have in quotations and underline big guns rise to kill me.
This is a radio song right here.
Yeah.
This is a song that back in the day I did not like at all. I always skipped this one, but now when I started listening to it again through the years, I love this track.
Tim, could you imagine if with the second album, instead of they picked door number 3? So door number 1 is new metal like the first album. Door number 2 is the new wave of American heavy metal that they went through. What if they picked door number 3 and went to more like radio friendly rock? Like into Godsmack, because at this time it was Godsmack, Disturbed, Linkin Park. Those are all bands that were heavier radio music. Maybe they would have had a chance.
I personally think that would have been a brilliant idea. I think they could have did it because Rob has another band. I forget what they're called. That's like grunge that he did a record of like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe even sooner than that. It's really fucking good. I'm going to have to get you the name of it and send it to you.
You have to dig that out.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. Something Disaster or something, but it's really fucking good. And
don't these guys have another band? They did another band after Chimaira. What was the name of it?
The Elite.
And there was another one that it was heavy. Hold on, I'm actually gonna look this up because you might actually remember the name.
Yeah, Rob did another band. It was him and the drummer from the last Chimaira record. It was called The Elite, and it's really fucking good. It's got a lot of Chimaira riffs. No. The grunge one's called something Disaster or something like that. You'll definitely find it it's all over his YouTube. But it's really fucking good, man.
Oh, what's it called?
Also, while you're looking for that, Rob just recorded a record with Andals. That's not Chimaira. That's coming out soon. And he put a teaser track, not the whole track, but a teaser of it up. It's a mix between Chimaira and like that grunge stuff he was doing. It's really fucking cool, man.
Okay, so the other band I'm thinking of is called 93.
I don't even know what that is.
Matt DeVries, the guitarist, the drummer Tim Young from Morbid Angel, and Vital Remains vocalist Brian Werner.
Oh, that's new that Matt's doing. He just started doing that.
Yeah.
He was talking about that in an interview recently.
Yeah.
Is there recordings for that?
How old was this article that I got sent to me? This was written on October of 19, so fairly recent.
Yeah, he was talking about that in a podcast interview with Rob on his channel. And people listening, if you're a fan, Rob has a great YouTube channel. Go check that out. He does really cool shit on there. Like I was saying before, this track is it's a good track, but it's kind of lackluster for me. I think that they were trying to hit the radio with this song. Maybe Roadrunner had an influence on this one, but good riffs in the song. It was just and it was also one of the last songs written for the record, from what Mark said. I think they were just trying to get like a radio friendly song on here. Maybe Roadrunner was like, hey, maybe you should try for a radio song, because In The Impossibility of Reason, they did that with that track 4. I think it was number 5.
Is it
I
Down
forget what it's
Again?
called. Down Again, yes.
Down Again.
Down
yes.
Again is what his documentary is called. I knew I would think of that. That's what the doc's called. It's called Down Again. You can check that out. It's all over YouTube. But Mark also said this song was influenced by Candiria because they're huge fans of them. So
that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So coming off Taste My, we go to track number 10, Rizzo, clocking in at a grand total of 4 minutes and 38 seconds. So this is the one that Abe Cunningham or Stephen Carpenter? Which one? Steph Carpenter. My notes here were the samples are heavy and prevalent, but the end gets boring.
No, this is my second favorite song on the record. And I didn't know that Steph wrote this song, but it doesn't sound like he did. But this is some of the best riffs on the record. Also, Rob and Andals helped writing with this, but Steph, I guess, like they were saying that. So Mark said they were at this club one night and going to see some bands, and the Deftones and Fear Factory guys were there. And when they walked into a room, they were playing some Chimaira off of This Present Darkness. And they walked in and they were like, holy shit, like that's us. And Steph was like, yo, I fucking love you guys. Like, this is cool shit. And I guess Rob was like, yo, you should write a song with us. And I guess like that night, Steph was like, dude, I got riffs right now. And he like showed them, and then they went in and recorded it, which is
awesome.
Crazy, dude.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah. To me, this is a straight up Chimaira song, even though he wrote most of the riffing. But I will say that chorus riff is one of, if not my favorite riff on the entire record. Just so fucking good, man. So it doesn't really surprise me that it was Steph, and another standout track, not just because of him, but that chorus is so good. Yeah, you should go back and listen to this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and listen to the second half of this album after we're finished recording, because I think maybe I wasn't paying enough attention, or maybe I was just getting fatigued and I wasn't really, my ears weren't picking it up. Yeah. But I mean, even
a really, really new metal song on here. This is straight new metal to me.
So coming off of straight new metal, we end up with one of the re-recorded tracks from This Present Darkness. Yep. Track number 11, 4 minutes and 20 seconds, Sphere. And Sphere. All I have here as notes, I have UGH, UGH, period. Yeah. And then I put there's a glimmer of excellence, but it's a mess of parts thrown together.
Yeah, this is one of the tracks that's just kind of weak. This has got a really big Pantera influence in it, though. I think so. I mean, and some of the parts, especially the chorus, it's got a really, really big Pantera influence. This is one of them songs I don't really care for the electronics in, but it's. Sometimes I feel like you don't have to add it in every song, but
right.
If you want to hear this song without the electronics, you go back to This Present Darkness, because they didn't have Chris in the band at that point. So you can hear them songs without it.
They were just, at that point, they were way more of a just run-of-the-mill new metal band.
Yeah. And I kind of like it better without the electronics, honestly. I mean, but it's whatever, dude.
Yeah, got to do your thing.
Exactly.
And next we have track 12. 3 minutes 48 seconds. This is what I have as the best song on the album, Forced Life.
I'm not surprised at that at all.
I mean, I have a note here that this is a radio single, and then I don't just have the period, I have the word period written out. Right? Like, this is a mid-paced song. This, within its current structure, I'm pretty sure they could have gotten this onto the radio and somebody would have played it. Especially considering all the other stuff that was ending up on the radio, you know? Yeah.
Another song where the opening intro riff is fucking incredible. Just a great fucking song. This is a song where I think the electronics are very good in. It's got like that spacey ambient effect in it, and I really like that. They did that very well on this track. Great chorus in this track as well.
Yeah. And then from here, where did we end up? From here, we end up with track number 13, Options.
Weakest track on the record.
Yeah, I have that's all I wrote here. But at this point, my ears were shot at 3 minutes and 50 seconds.
when I listen to this song, because I tend to listen to everything with headphones now. I don't really get, like, I have like really expensive studio monitors in my studio. Obviously, you can't see it because it's just me, but I have really nice monitors. I would rather listen to music on my Bluetooth headphones, and I think they just give you a better headphones. Just give you a better
Yes.
experience, like we always say.
Yeah.
But in this song, it sounds like you're in the movie Alien. Like there's just so weird, like slithering sounds in it, and I do like that about this song. This is definitely another attempt at a radio song to me.
Tim, what is the last time you actually sat down with an album in the liner notes and actually listened to it? What's the last album you did it with?
This one.
This one?
Yeah. I'm telling you, I went deep for this one, man. I listened to it like 40 times. Like literally, I drove home Friday and rocked this whole record. Like I drove around just when I got off the highway just to finish it.
See, I did 4 listens, and one of them was headphones when I was mowing the lawn, which, believe it or not, I actually pay attention to music because I've been living here so long I can mow the lawn on autopilot.
Me too.
Then everything else was in the background, and it's just the last time I actually sat down with the liner notes and listened to and read the liner notes was the newest Black Dahlia Murder.
Oh, okay.
Oddly, for whatever reason, them, Origin, Archspire, where I really want to understand what these fucking guys are saying. I'm really disappointed. I ordered the new 156 Silence and they got screwed by their distributor. Their CD distributor, the company who presses the CDs, took all their money, went out of business.
Are you fucking serious?
So they emailed like everybody who ordered a CD from their Bandcamp and said, hey, pick out something from the merch store. We'll send you a t-shirt or whatever. And I replied, I said, don't worry about it. I said, it's $20. I don't really fucking care. I said, but if you do, press them, let me know.
Email them back. We'll talk about that at the end.
Okay.
I do think this record has a catchy chord, or this song has a catchy chorus as well. Also, the band said that they hate this fucking song. And when I went back in a little bit ago and I said that they would put a Bayo 3 times, they also said when they wrote set list, they would put this like 3 times in another part of it because they hated it so much. So like they'd be on stage and they would like throw the set list down and it would just be like a Bayo 3 times, blah, 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 couple songs, and then options like 10 times.
That's crazy.
Funny, man. Like you're playing live in front of thousands of people and it's just like, you start laughing because you see options like 13 times. This is another song they said that they put in as just to complete the Roadrunner album, like track listing they wanted. So they just threw this in there.
Okay.
And I think when you throw songs in like this, they always sound radio because it's just like you're writing pretty shitty riffs. Not that their riffs are shitty, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but when a band, you can tell when their heart isn't in it, you can kind of tell.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you can just hear the difference. Which brings us to Jade, which is the last song on the album, which I believe, is this the one where this is a hidden track?
No, this is
13 minutes, 58 seconds or something?
This was hidden at first and then got added to the end. And but Chimaira also tends to put a lot of really long songs at the end of their records. And
didn't they close Impossibility of Reason, Tim, with a long instrumental?
Yes, they did. And it's really fucking good. This track is fucking incredible. This is a really good track, man. I usually hate long tracks on records, especially like when black metal bands do like 17-minute songs that drive me nuts. Because a lot of black metal shit, it's like meandering, same riff shit for 20 minutes straight. But this is really, really good, man. I mean, I think you could have chopped 3 or 4 songs off this record and ended with this one, and it would have been just as good. It
would have worked. It would have worked. Yep.
And you could tell just from listening to this that there's a lot of Mark Hunter riffs in this song. I mean, he contributes a lot to the band guitar-wise. I don't know if people know that. He also plays guitar. So he contributes a lot to this shit. It's a great ending track, though. I have no complaints at all. Great.
You said you don't like that black metal, like 40-minute long tracks. Did you ever check out, like, what do you think of, like, Bell Witch or some of that stuff?
I like Bell Witch, but it gets too redundant after a while.
See, I really like it. Long songs and all that. I can't. Sorry, buddy. This is the poor cat I rolled over and took half his tail out.
Yeah, that's funny about that. I remember the last time I picked a cat up like that, it fucking clawed the shit out of me. So
Now he just, this is Mr. Wilson. He does not mind being held like a baby, but you can tell he's not happy with me because I took out a chunk.
Mr. Wilson is on the New Breed podcast right now. So if you're listening to the audio only, you got to go on the video.
Yeah, you're getting this is terrible audio right here.
And
so
Mr. Wilson is a great name for a cat. That's awesome.
I have some final notes here. I said that while I liked the album when it came out, but I like the Impossibility of Reason that much more. So maybe my recollection is skewed because I like the second one so much that the first one can't measure up. I still have this is still deserved. If there was a new metal Hall of Fame pantheon, this would definitely be in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I went even further because on my iTunes or my Apple Music, I have the extended version of this. So I'll talk about these real quick.
Yeah, there's some extra tracks, right, Tim? If like the European release or something.
Japanese release, yes.
Yeah.
Track 15 is called Without Moral Restraint. I actually really enjoy that track. It's a little different than the rest of the record, but in a very good way. This track sounds like where they went with the Impossibility of Reason.
Okay.
So if you go on and listen to it, I kind of feel like maybe they recorded this song after the album was done and then they added it for Japanese. Excuse me. And then you can hear we're pretty much where they went with that. That's what I think personally, but maybe it could be. I could probably be wrong. They also had a cover of The Cure called Fascination Street.
I have never heard that, but now I need to check it out because I love The Cure.
Go check that out. It's just a cover of that. Also on the special editions, you have demo tracks of Let Go, Severed, Forced Life, Dead Inside, Pass Out of Existence, that sound really fucking hard. Like the demo tracks, they basically just sound like a hardcore record. It's really fucking good, man.
I gotta download it.
Yeah, check all that shit out, man. Last thoughts though, personnel wise, just so people know, Mark Hunter vocals. He also did guitars in the record. Rob Arnold lead guitar, Jason Hagar rhythm, Chris Bacuza electronics, Jim Lamarca bass, and Andals Herrick drums. Andal's real name is Andy, just for people. You got Stephen Carpenter guitars and Rizzo, and Justin Walden did keyboards and programming, additional keyboards and programming. But last thoughts about this record. Incredible fucking record. I know Jay hates it, but
I don't hate it. I don't like. I won't say I hate it. I'll say that I don't like it as much as when I first listened to it. And again, it's because the later stuff for me really, really hit a vein.
Yeah. Just like people listen, go back and just listen to the record. Listen to This Present Darkness. This band. If you listen to Ill Street News, I do the metal show. I just did a Chimaira episode. Check that out. Good, really good songs on there. I don't know if Jay here. I don't know if you heard that, but
I downloaded. I haven't listened. Dude, I am so far behind on podcasts. That's another thing we could talk about. There's another thing we could talk about off air with having no commute and not traveling anywhere.
Yeah. I fortunately, well, not fortunately, but I commute every day, so I'm caught up on it.
See, I get a chance to.
Yeah, I commute every day, so I don't get me wrong. I would love to stay at home and do this shit, but unfortunately, I got to fix people's bullshit all day. But yeah, so what are your final thoughts? I mean, do you think like we said before, if they stuck the new metal route, do you think they're just a 1 and 2 and done?
I think so. I think you're right. I think if they had stayed solidly in this new metal vein, they would have just been an also ran. I think the fact that the next album went, well, I mean, they ditched this. I mean, if you think about things that are their signature, they ditched the 7-string, they ditched the drop tuning, the samples came way down in the mix, and they added solos, and they became more of a metal band. And that, again, that's the album that jumped out at me. I remember seeing them at the Trocadero touring off of The Impossibility of Reason. I forget who else they played with. I got to pull my book out. But I remember it being an awesome show. So, I mean.
Dude, I like The Impossibility of Reason so much. We could stop and do a deep dive on that, and I don't even need notes. That's how much I like that record.
I would need to do some homework because I haven't listened to it in a long time.
Yeah. We're going to do that record. I don't care if it's new metal or not. Chimaira gets pushed in with new metal, so we're going to do that record. But I'll tell you what, I could do that record right now. I could tell you when it's released, when it came. I could tell you I love that record.
I'm looking at the track listing now, and I can actually – most of these songs, there's 12 of them, and I think I could, if I close my eyes right now, I could hear 7 of them.
Yeah. Oh,
in
I
my
can
head.
hear all of them in my head right now. I love that fucking record.
What's the best song on that album, Tim?
Pictures in the Gold Room.
Mm.
You hate that, so I know it. I love it.
Overlooked.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
Overlooked
one.
because
Eyes of a Criminal is so good.
Yeah, Overlooked for me because it's the last full song. It's not the instrumental, and it's a very driving, fast-paced song. I remember listening to this album, and the Cleansation's great, and Possibility Reason's great. Like all these songs are good, and then it got to the end, and I was like, "That's the fucking song they ended with."
Yeah.
Like that banger, and then they go into this 13-minute instrumental, which I believe Darkest Hour did the same thing with Hidden Hands of a Sadist Nation, which came out at the same time. Everybody was doing it at that point.
Speaking of Darkest Hour, I just booked Mike, so people look out for that too.
Oh, yeah. He should be a good interview. He seems like a really funny guy.
Hell yeah. But yeah, fucking, we're not talking about Ill Street, so we're on New Breed right here.
All right.
But yeah, we're going to eventually go into probably, if we keep going and going, we're going to eventually go into all the Chimaira records. So look out for that. And Jay will close you out with the usual.
So you know where to find us. We have a Facebook group. We have an Instagram. We have a Twitter. We have a Facebook page where we know we do new episodes every other week. We might actually get to every week, and we're thinking about it. So if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, please let us know. Nubreedpodcast at gmail.com. If there's an album you want to deep dive in. If you want to be on the show. Let's be honest here. You want to be on the show and argue about how Snot is not the most underrated new metal band of all time with me, reach out and let us know. If you think our opinions are great, if you think our opinions are trash, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to get some other people sitting in the house on a Saturday night drinking beers, arguing about fucking new metal. Tim and I couldn't think of any better way to pass the evening. So on behalf of Tim and myself, I want to thank you all again for listening, and we will see you again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for fucking listening. Great episode. And I remember saying before we end this, you said if we have to do this record, we got to do LD50. That's what we're going to do next. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So look out for LD50 and look out for everything else we have coming up. Thanks for listening as always, man. I love this shit, man.
It's fun stuff.
Absolutely. All right. We're out of here.